Yeah.
But
No longer green. You're welcome.
but that
Or
was kind of
purple.
a Batman look, right?
Well, it's
Like the
not
ivy,
necessarily what
with
we're going
the green lips and all that. But I was just talking to Nicole backstage, and
Yes.
we had mentioned Hope for Homes in the last
Mhm.
segment, and she said that there was a friend of hers that was doing some real estate and
Yeah.
talking about getting loans and all that other stuff, and I told her that, hey, let me talk about this on the
Yes. On
show.
the live.
Maybe it helps somebody else. And when I'm talking about buying houses for cash, what I'm saying is if we buy a rental house for $100,000 and we rent it out for $1,000, that's 1%. That's really what we try
Mhm.
to do. We can make money on that house, paying the rent and the insurance and the taxes and then whatever happens. We can do that. But if we go to a bank and we get a loan and the note on the loan is $800 a month
Okay.
and we collect $1,000 for rent and we make $200 a month, everybody's like, oh, that's cash flow positive, everything's great. Well,
It's not enough for me, that's not justifiable in paying for the home if you're only making, that 200.
reach out to Nicole, she'll give you the updates.
Oh yes.
That's Kim.
Reach out. Reach
wanting,
out to me.
wanting to know the updates for Synergy, but
Oh,
she
okay,
doesn't
perfect.
know. I've
But
still
wait, and who was that? I didn't get the name.
Kim,
Oh, that was Kim. Okay, perfect.
India Kim.
Yes, yes. Yes, I will be as soon as we're done with our live. I'm
Yeah, I
sending all
don't
that
think she knows that I'm still with
on the
you.
live.
She expects you to get her the information because it's an emergency,
Right away.
and we told her that. But
Right.
anyway, if you're all cash, you will survive.
Okay.
If you're dealing with the bank and you have a water heater go out, then that's your profit for the year.
Right.
And it's crazy. So when I say buy properties for cash, I don't want to be disingenuous. How Luann and I started building our wealth was we refinanced a loan against our house, and then we bought an investment property and paid ourselves back. So we bought a house in Inglewood for $118,000, and we had like $30,000 in cash, and then we borrowed against our house 10 years ago, and we paid that back, and then we refinanced our house, took cash out again, and bought the second house across the street in Inglewood. And interest rates were different back then, and it was a little bit easier to do that. But we took out one loan against our primary home. Then we got an investment property that was paid in cash, and then that money helped us pay back our individual loan. So let's just use you guys as a fictitious example, since we don't want to talk about this person that called in.
Okay.
But we'll just say you and your husband.
Okay.
And it's okay in my mind to get started. If you say, oh, Mark, I want to buy one of these homes in Oklahoma and have you teach me how to manage it and do all that other stuff. We only have $50,000. Well, that's great. Get your $50,000 from your loan against your house or whoever, your Aunt Edna, loans it to you. And then we find a $150,000 house. We get 3 people, me, you, and Steve, say. Everybody puts in 150,000, and then the capital company starts rolling that rent in there and building up its own reserves, while you and Charles and me and Luann and Steve and his wife are all pressing down our debt that we've got to get our piece in there.
Right. Right.
And then when another property comes along, 2 or 3 years, it's like,
Mhm.
we'll do it again because we bought the $150,000 property. It's making $1,500 a month,
Mhm.
but now it's worth 300. And we love the cash flow. We love the equity growth. Let's do it again.
Okay.
But then you guys say, look, I saved up $75,000. So can we make another capital company that's just me and Luann and you and
Mhm.
your husband? Absolutely. Then you own half a house. So a third of a house, half a house. And hopefully by the third one, you could say, I like being in business with you guys, or we want to do it by ourselves.
Right.
And then you're
Well,
there.
and realistically for the viewers, from all the homes that you've had and everything else, about on average, how long does it take for your viewers to start seeing some form of kickback where they're eventually in the positive? Is it like, is that your 2 or 3 year time frame kind of thing?
One day.
Oh, there you go.
And that's a common question that gets misunderstood.
Which is why I asked, because I do know that a lot of people who watch this have the same have
Well, it's a
questions.
common mistake because when you're buying income producing real estate, especially if we buy it correctly, okay, people are like, oh, I spent $100,000 on this property. If I don't get $1,000 back, then I'm not making any money. I'm not getting my return back.
Okay.
Well, what people forget is that if you take your $100,000 out of your savings account, that's earning you $7 a month or whatever it is. Okay?
Yeah, next to nothing.
Yeah. And we take that money and we put it in the 111 Elm Street rental house
Mhm.
account. We still have our $100,000. It's
Mhm.
just sitting in a house and not a bank.
Right, right.
But the interest that we get from the house is $100,000 or $1,000 per month, less
Mhm.
expenses. So say $700. We're getting $700 interest instead of $7.
Okay, yeah, which is
So you
amazing.
still own the 100,000 you started with. It's just in
Mhm.
a different place. So we didn't really spend anything
Nice.
because houses don't go down in value; they go up in value.
They appreciate.
Right. So what
Right.
happens with the capital company is the partners get together, they decide, hey, we're putting our money in here, and we want a prudent reserve in the capital company of $7,000. That'll pay for taxes, insurance, whatever else happens. And after that, when we go over the $7,000, every time that there's $10,000 above the prudent reserve, we will do a distribution to the owners of the property pro rata their shares. So let's say
Okay.
that you and I buy a property, we both
Mhm.
put in the $50,000 each, and then we let the rent build up until there's a prudent reserve. So if something happens, we don't have to come out of pocket.
Right, which is
You know,
perfect.
the LLC pays for the little
Mhm.
sink leak or whatever it is.
Right.
And
Like the
then,
HVAC or something.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
at the end of the year, there's $17,000 in there. So you get 5,000 and I get 5,000
Nice. And then you've got the rest left over just for a rainy day.
going into the new year. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. Mhm.
And then a lot of times I tell people it really pinches at first. Seems like you put all this money into it and it doesn't come out really fast or whatever. So you have to kind of fast forward yourself to in the future.
But even then and stuff, if you think about it, a year time frame is not long at all. Like it goes by so quick. And I kind of look at it as if you really work hard at something that you love and you put like a solid even 10 years into it, the kickbacks and the stuff that you learn during that time and everything else, you're trying to build yourself up now for the future. And
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think that something like that, like investing 1 year of your time to make money is really next to nothing. Oh God, is that Denver? Yeah.
Yes, it is. I bought this house. And when we first got it,
Mhm.
everything went slow,
Mhm.
and we paid $118,000 for this house. Um, I don't know if this will show when we bought it. Okay.
Yeah, 2013.
September 2013. We paid $117,000 for this place.
That is insane. In 10 years. 10 years.
Well,
Literally fast forward. That's
we
over
rented it.
$250,000 more.
Well, we rented it for like $800, and
Okay.
so we were not getting a bunch back
Mhm.
necessarily. But then, as the price grew,
Mhm.
we ended up renting this property now for $2,300 a month.
That's
Now,
insane.
I did put a renovation
Mhm.
in about 5 years into it,
Okay.
and the renovation was about $50,000.
Yeah.
But again, that was a deposit in the house account.
Right.
So instead of being in a bank, it was in this little house.
Mhm.
I've had wonderful renters in it the whole time we've had it. And now it gives us $2,300 a month.
Mhm.
And we couldn't buy this house for 400,000.
Right. Well, and now that people out there are seeing the reason why Mark is so, he does have his homes here in Colorado, but there's a huge market difference between here and out in Oklahoma. Whereas out in Oklahoma, he's getting them for 100,000, and that single family home is going for almost $400,000
And
in
it's
Colorado.
crazy.
It's
Um,
insane, insane.
well, and let me just give you that example again. We'll
Yeah, they
look.
said on average, a single family home in Colorado is actually going for 500,000. So his is actually a steal in Colorado.
Well, absolutely. But this,
Yeah, look at everything else around there and stuff. There's all those that
it's
have
crazy.
that's 595, 430, 495. Like they're all single family homes.
So if we look at this house,
Mm-hmm.
I purchased this house 2019.
Okay.
And this is actually a little bit nicer house than the one we just looked at. But this is in Oklahoma, and it's 3 beds, 2 baths. And I paid 136,000 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I paid $138,000,
Wow.
and I started renting this place under 1%. It was $1,100, I think. Been
Okay.
rented for 3 years. The renter that's in it now pays $1,450
Okay.
for rent, but the place is worth 180 to 201.
Nice. Yeah. See, that's
So,
freaking insane.
and it's still less money than Denver,
Mm-hmm.
but we can find the deals that make sense. One of the things that
But also, this has only been since 2019. Your other one was since 2013.
yeah, what do
And
you think this one's going to look like in
a couple more years.
2029?
Yeah, right? Like after it hits its 10-year mark and stuff. And so Mark is very right when it comes to this stuff, that like you're investing into something that doesn't depreciate in value.
Well, and we have enough experience
Mm-hmm.
to get with you guys or whoever the young investors are and say, here's what we see in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say somebody comes to me and says, hey, Mark, I want to get involved in doing a rental property with you. I'm a real estate agent in Denver. I
Mm-hmm.
have a real estate
Yes.
license in
I
Denver.
remember when you were going through, it was the first time I had asked you when we were doing the things with Relax and CBD. And I remember you studying for your test and everything else.
It
And
was
I was so
crazy,
proud of you.
crazy. But if somebody comes to me and say, hey, Mark, I want to get in business with you in Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
I say no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy Colorado unless it's a really weird, experience.
You no longer buy, because you have your ones that you still own, right? In Colorado from when you
Exactly.
previously purchased, but now it's all Oklahoma, because that's one of the things that Mark's saying, is that like he's trying to help people for like Hope for Homes, everything else, like help reestablish these small towns with these people in it that can essentially help each other. They can all come together.
But if it's
And
going to be a
understand each
failure, I
other. Right.
can't have you buy a $500,000 house
Mm-mm.
to rent it for 2,300 or
Mhm.
2,400. The math doesn't work. So we're going to keep people from making a huge mistake.
Yeah, right.
And that's
Right.
what helped that. And that's why I'm like, hey, you need to look for something that is in a different place where you can make money.
Right. Right.
Like that first house we showed in the example was, it's a great house for me, but I wouldn't buy one
Right.
because I
Right.
can't. I can't make the numbers work. But I bought a house in a small town in Oklahoma, and
Mhm.
maybe the next time we do a Hope for Homes video, I will share it with your folks. But
Yeah.
I bought a house, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and it's rough, but I bought it for $12,000.
Wow.
I'm going to put 30 into it
Okay.
to rehab it,
Hmm.
and it'll rent for $600 a month.
Which is amazing.
It's an amazing return,
Hmm.
and it's a reasonable price for hopefully one of our veterans.
Hmm.
And it's not a huge, cryptocurrency, go to the moon and put in $6 and make $6 million. It's not like that. It's just good, solid wealth building that we do.
Well, and what's great about it is it gives you a good foundation. It allows you to bring in some extra money that if you do want to sit there and continue growing your portfolio in different ways, like crypto, stocks, art, any of that, it helps give you that extra income to do something,
And
but it's a better foundation.
we never do anything that is just me and Luann anymore. If
Uh-huh.
we can't share with somebody else that's learning to help them build
Mhm.
their wealth, we don't do it anymore. I just do the charity work instead. So if
Mhm.
I couldn't help the partners that get involved in these capital companies that are helping the veterans, I wouldn't be doing it.
Well, and what Mark's doing is something that I feel is so amazing, because today, nowadays in schools, I very much so have my personal opinions. I feel like it's very indoctrinated. I feel like we are purposely not being told how to wealth build and do different things. To make it to where the markets aren't that competitive. And when you have somebody like Mark, who goes out of their way and shares their wealth of knowledge to teach you things that we weren't taught back in the day. It's very like when I tell people out there like how much Mark really means to me, it's on so many different levels because of the fact that like he truly is a great person who really is only out there to help other people, and he's essentially schooling people in the way that we weren't raised to be done. And he went through all those hoops and all like everything else and is just informing us, you know, for the time being and everything else, like what's going on and how to maneuver it in a positive way where it's lucrative for us, and to build a portfolio. So I say anybody who's out there like listening to any of this stuff from Mark, like it's very useful information. Very useful.
And I'm not ignoring you. I got a contractor that needs to
No, you're busy.
get paid. And it's one of the things that I try to teach people to do: manage your own properties. You know, because
Yes.
if you get a loan and then you pay somebody to manage the property, there goes all your money.
Yeah, right.
You know, but if we learn how to manage the properties, even from a distance, you know, that guy needed some supplies. He's one of my contractors, and he's in one of these small town Oklahoma places, and I managed him from Norman, 2 hours away, on the radio show with you, because we need to be able to, you know, run it, understand it,
Right.
and not get ripped off by some property manager, you know. And
Well, and that's one thing from the story I had told you prior in backstage is that yeah, a property manager really did a big number in regards to that. And what I like about Mark's whole setup is that essentially when they put all their money off to the side, they're doing everything else. They're taking out that third party, the party
yes,
that's going to take away all the stuff, the banks, everything else. Like your
well, I'll tell you a story about that Girton house that I showed you in the beginning.
okay.
Bathtub backed up,
Uh-huh.
and I called a Roto-Rooter service, and long story short, the guy tried to get me to replace the supply line to the house.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be $7,000 for the junction and the street, or it's going to be 11,000. You might as well just replace the whole line because blah 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 blah. And he put a camera down there and showed that at the street it was off a little bit.
Yeah.
And he really had me convinced that I need to spend some money. So what I always do is
Did you get a second
a
opinion?
third opinion. Well, the
Uh-huh.
second guy was somebody that I knew from a while ago, and I had him come out. He snaked the drain again, took a picture. He said, "Mark, they're all like that. Every single drain in Denver is like that. You need to snake it once a year, and that's all you need to do." So this place, $99 rooter in Inglewood is who tried to rip me off. And this other Matrix company took good care of me. And a property manager would have went with the $11,000 bid.
Yeah.
They get 10% of any repairs that they oversee. So the guy would have got $11,000 on top of the or $1,100 on top of the $11,000 when I really didn't even need to put it in there. So
well, and essentially, like that's why it's very important to get second, third opinions, because it's also a rough world out there, and people are trying to sell a product to make themselves more money, because I'm sure he got a bigger cut or more kickbacks himself if he sold something way more expensive that essentially you didn't need, but it's great for the company. So that's why you always go with different people, get different thoughts on it. So I think that was very, very wise. Wise. And you had to save all that money. So that's always good.
yes.
Right.
And the thing that I need to do is when I'm handing down my wealth to my kids, I and I'm going to teach them how to manage these properties so that they're not just getting money, they're
Yes.
getting companies that they can run.
That's exactly it. Well, and that's actually is like kind of like a side thing. And I know we're getting slightly off topic, but you're just so full of like wealth and knowledge. With any of your, and you could definitely say that's none of your business, anything else, because I 100% understand it. Is any of this stuff, do you put it into trust so that afterwards they don't have to pay taxes on it after you are gone?
Yes.
Yes, because that's a big thing.
However, and I had to learn this stuff as well. Just getting into a trust doesn't protect you completely. What we want to do is we want to take the real estate asset, put it inside an LLC.
Okay.
And then we take the LLC and we put that inside of the trust.
Okay. Okay.
So the LLC protects our wealth from the normal business operations,
Right,
and lawsuits or whatever might happen. The trust allows for the kids to avoid probate when we're gone.
yes, yeah, that they don't have to go through probate and that they don't
trustee.
have to pay all the taxes on it.
So my suggestion is that people get a good tax person and a good lawyer and help walk them through that. And as you start building up wealth, one of the first things that I ever tell people to do is get an umbrella liability policy.
Okay.
And that's your regular car insurance. It goes with your regular car insurance. So you check with your insurance agency and you get liability limits of 500,000 on your regular cars. And you buy an umbrella liability policy. It's about $600 a year, I think, for a couple $1 million.
Oh, that's nothing.
Okay. So your regular liability goes up to 500. Your umbrella goes from 500,000 to 2 million.
Okay.
And then you get protections from the LLC and all that beyond. So as we're moving up in wealth to protect, we're taking those little steps to get things protected. And so the LLC is more important than the trust.
Okay.
The trust is for handing on that wealth to the kids.
Right.
And one of the things that I do in my family is I teach the kids how to run the properties. So, and in your example, using you as a fictitious example again, you guys get in on a property, learn how to do it, then you go halvesies on the second one. The beautiful thing that happens on number 3 is you guys are now the seasoned, experienced investor.
Right.
You reach out to your kids and they become the baby investors. You're like, hey kids, let's buy a house in Oklahoma and we're going to go 4 ways on it. Mark and Luann, me and my Charles, and you 2 kids each take a fourth of it. And you run it with us so you can learn how everything works.
Yeah.
And they learn how to do the lease. They learn how to do the negotiation. They learn how to talk to the contractors because they're doing it with mom and dad.
Right.
And that, to me, is the best role of financial coaching and advice that we can do for our kids. Is we not only feed them, but we teach them to fish. So later in life, when they get $10 million worth of assets, they don't just go crazy and drink and do drugs and then burn out like we see things happen. They say, oh, I know how to do this.
Struggling their whole life, like they're learning from a young age. So that's actually funny that you say that, because that is one of the things that I do with my kids, is that I do only when they get paid, because they, especially my oldest daughter, she's only 15. She's got 2 jobs. Like she does sports. Like she's so amazing right now, saving for half of her car. Cause I am making them pay for half their vehicle. Because then they have a little bit of skin in the game. They take more responsibility with it. But That being said, what we do is 50% goes into savings right now because she is saving so much. 25% goes into whatever investment she wants to do. So if she wants crypto, if she wants a stock, any of that other stuff, and 25% of what she makes, because essentially we cover everything that she needs: housing, food, clothing, everything. So it gives her still enough spending money. And this girl, for the cost of what it is, like, it's kind of crazy. I've got a 15-year-old making $20 an hour. It's it's really good and stuff for
And
her.
where's she working?
Well, so she actually just got a job at State Beauty. So she will be doing that, which is for licensed professionals only, where they sell beauty products to people, to like stylists and everything else, or estheticians. So it's essentially hair, nail, and skin. But the one that she's been at for over a year is Jet Gymnastics. And this girl is amazing when it comes to lacrosse. She can't do a somersault if her life depended on it. And she is an amazing coach and stuff, to where like these kids love her. She doesn't even do beginner. She does intermediate and advanced stuff. She can coach her heart out. She just can't do it physically
That's
herself.
amazing. That's
Well,
awesome.
and she gets paid for all that. She gets paid great money. She just had her first, and she's been doing it since she was 14. So she's 15 and a half now and stuff. So, and had her work party, everything else. So it makes me very happy for her, that she gets to do it. But then I always tell her, kind of like what me and Mark do, you've got to give back. So what she actually does is, on top of that, she coaches kindergarten through third grade boys lacrosse. And she knows that because she's done lacrosse for years. So she just does that as volunteer work. She does get actually high school credit for it, some volunteer stuff, and it'll look great for her college paperwork and stuff if she wants to go to college. So there are other
That's
reasons
awesome.
for it.
I
But yeah,
love
she gives
hearing that.
back. She does all this stuff. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
so it's a matter of
parenting.
teaching them young.
Now tell me, where does she put her 25% savings at?
Her 25% savings right now and stuff, which I don't like it because it doesn't really get a lot of the kickback and stuff. It is in just a basic account right now, because we're trying to maneuver stuff with a raging teenager with hormones, as much as we possibly can. So that is actually our next step, is to have her put it in something where she gets more interest than, because it's very low interest and stuff on her money, but she's very excited. So she has to come to the table with a minimum of $5,000 for her car. So, and she's got till August, and she is literally almost there at 15 years old. So working hard. What's that?
This is an online savings account.
Okay. Through Goldman Sachs, I see.
You hook it up to your regular savings account, and then you transfer it online to this place. And right now it's giving you 450 or 4.5.
Yeah, because I think her other one's under 1%. It's like crazy.
Way under.
Yeah, I think it's like 0.7%.
And the thing about this is that it takes a couple of days to transfer up and down. But if somebody has $1,000, it starts to become meaningful money. And the prudent reserve that we talk about, your family has $10,000 in emergency funds. Why not have it sitting here? Because I've gotten so many people in this bank, they should pay me. But
get some sponsorship money for it.
If you have $100,000 in one of these accounts, you're getting like $300 a month back.
Yeah, which is insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, it pays for your cell phone every month.
Yeah.
And if you said, hey, you want a free cell phone, people would be like, yeah. But we don't think about it, so it's just easy ways to manage our money. And one of the reasons that we don't do that a lot of times because we don't have good parents like you, Nicole, and your
Right.
husband. And the people that I work with and the coaching that I do, pro bono coaching, I
Mhm.
reach out to a lot of kids that don't have dads in the home. Mom's working her ass off. She doesn't have time to sit down and say, "Hey, have you thought about this?" Or let's, you're 18. Let's start an IRA and put
Mhm.
$10 in there. Um, you know, we just don't live in that environment.
Right.
I wish all the moms and dads were as, you know, in tune with you guys.
Oh,
Make
thank
them
you.
make them work. Make them
Oh, yeah,
understand how to
absolutely.
survive.
Yeah. Well, and it's just realistically, if there ever like a day where they're like, "Oh God, I don't really want to go to work. I don't want to do it." Great. So continue going on the track that you're going so you can retire a lot earlier. Like you don't have I want to teach my kids because unfortunately, I think what took it was that my dad died without ever even being able to enjoy his retirement. That was one of the hardest things for me was when they had split his retirement between me and my three sisters. I was actually the last person to take it out and it was after his retirement said after a year and a half that it was in there that I had to. Like we're no longer keeping this, like it's not your account. And like I was in tears bawling and the reason why is because my dad worked so hard his entire to enjoy it and like he got all this but really he didn't get that much money
Right.
for how many years he put in and he was forced into retirement due to his cancer for like I think it was like 34 35 years at the sheriff's department and it made me sad and it made me want to find a different way for my kids to not have to do that, but then also us. I don't believe that humans should have to live predominantly their whole life and not be able to enjoy it, or even something as basic as our dear friend Berkowitz passed 5 years after working his entire life as a police officer. And it was great, 5 great years, but he worked his whole life for all that I don't
Well,
want my
and
kids to
that's
work.
that's what we're trying to teach in a lot of
Right.
our programs is FIRE. And
Yes.
that acronym is Financial Independence Retire Early.
Yes.
And it's about making the IRAs and the Roth IRA
Mhm.
contributions and the second gig job. This
Mhm.
little company that you and I run is our part-time job, growing into more. We
Right.
get into the real estate investment, and that
Mhm.
starts another little business. And we have different buckets of uh, income coming in,
Mhm.
and it's not that much work. I mean, once you get that big rock rolling, you know,
Right.
if you can build in your family wealth and
Mhm.
take care of yourself financially into your hobby,
Mhm.
you're done.
Well, and not only that, what I aspire to be when I get older is I love the fact that you're retired. You're still finding other ways that, like, where you're not really doing too much, but you're still rolling in that money, everything else. But you are able to dedicate your time to help other people
Yeah,
better themselves. And if anything, I would love for my kids to be able to retire, know that they'll be financially stable and go do something good for humanity. Like go
absolutely.
do that. Like that is so much more meaningful.
Well, and I started doing that during the pandemic. I
Yes.
sold my
Mhm.
company, and I've definitely had a opportunity to give away half of my time to pro bono business coach and wealth coach and help people. And it's enriched my life, Nicole. And
Yeah.
I see you doing the same thing. And if our kids can watch us do that and they do it,
Right. Even
that's the
younger.
home run. That's the
Yeah.
home run.
Do it younger, guys, please. Like so that you have even longer in life to give back to other people and do good for
Well,
humanity.
and Jeff is he was a vice president for the company that I sold. And
Mhm.
I still maintain
Jeff Meyer.
communication with him. Yes.
Yes.
And he's giving back like a madman and helping
Yeah.
people. And he actually just bought a third of a house. Him and his wife bought a third of a house for cash
Mhm.
in Oklahoma. And listen to
Nice.
this. It's Zillow's for $98,000.
Okay.
And we're going to be into it for $40,000
Okay.
and probably $7,000 in repairs. And I already have a veteran that is ready to rent the house when it gets closed and fixed. And Jeff owns a third of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's right away. Like, it's without next to no time of investing. You already have people ready to come in and put their money in it because people need the help. No, I think something like that is so absolutely amazing. And that's what I find to be so aspiring about all this, because like whether it's from the CBD form of trying to help people to any forms of marketing to help other people within like the business, the industry, with the plumbing, with any of that stuff, to just start your network and do everything, but then to be able to continue and build, go into the real estate investments and stuff. You're just expanding your portfolio and helping so many people along the way in different ways. I love that.
Well, I'm very lucky. So I am going to end what we're doing.
Yes, I've taken so much of your time today.
No.
So thank you.
But I wanna, start the Hope for Homes thing. And if you want to help me
I genuinely
introduce
do.
some of these investors or your kids or whatever, let's do
genuinely
an offshoot on Hope for Homes with that.
I think that something like that, I want to get into it with you. I think that would be amazing. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I adore you.
obviously, I wouldn't want to partner with anybody else but you. But
Well,
I love you, and
love you.
I'm just gonna say thanks for joining in with Tuesdays with Nicole.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I adore you.
Love you.
Bye.